Bonjour à vous tous. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes très honorés d'avoir dans notre studio à Paris un invité exceptionnel, c'est-à-dire le scientifique vénézuélien, un scientifique du nucléaire, le professeur Eduardo Greaves. Allô, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien, gracias.
Donc, avant d'aborder le sujet qu'on aimerait donc traiter aujourd'hui, c'est-à-dire le nucléaire du futur, sur lequel M. Greaves travaille, je voudrais quand même présenter quelques éléments sur sa vie, afin que vous puissiez voir qui il est, d'où il vient et qu'est-ce qu'il fait. Alors, pour ceux parmi vous qui pensent que c'est terrible de vieillir, je vous signale que le professeur Greaves a 70 ans depuis le mois dernier, qu'il comptait se rendre en Chine pour travailler avec l'Académie des sciences là-bas sur les réacteurs au thorium qui utilisent des sels fondus. Malheureusement, ça ne pourra pas se faire dans l'immédiat. Actuellement, donc, il travaille à Orsay, à l'Institut de physique nucléaire, y compris donc sur les réacteurs de 4e génération. Mais on en parlera un peu plus tout à l'heure. Le professeur Greaves a été donc formé en physique nucléaire aux États-Unis et en Angleterre. Il a été professeur invité à un très grand nombre de pays et il enseigne depuis 30 ans donc à l'université Simon Bolivar à Caracas au Venezuela. Dans son pays, le Venezuela, donc, il a fondé la Société vénézuélienne de physique nucléaire, ainsi que le laboratoire pour la physique nucléaire de l'université. Il a écrit plus d'une centaine de rapports techniques et scientifiques, et il est un des experts aussi de l'Agence internationale de l'énergie atomique de Vienne, pour laquelle il a travaillé. So the first question would be a very normal question: is how did you get into the field of nuclear science?
Well, from the very beginning, I was interested in science. When I was a small boy, I used to say I was going to be an astronomer. But then during secondary years, I went into science and rockets, and then went to study physics. And in physics, I went to nuclear physics. And I've remained in applications of nuclear physics since then.
And why do you think nuclear energy, why is nuclear science so essential for the history of mankind in the future?
Well, the humanity faces very big problems now. It is growing, the energy using is growing at 2.3% per year. This doubles the use of energy every 30 years. And there is no way that any other form of energy can supply this amount of energy. It will be necessary to go to the only knowledge that we have now to produce massive amounts of energy, and this is nuclear physics. Nuclear power. No? It is the only way.
Yes, some of the top financiers of the world, including the British monarchy, they think they are promoting a Malthusian green ideology, trying to lower the increase of the world population. And they are opposed to nuclear energy because they think it will develop humanity.
Yeah, I think it's a completely wrong attitude. Actually, nuclear energy can provide, with the new molten salt reactor, a much cheaper form of energy. And this, deployed worldwide, energy can help development, and development help the level of welfare of people. And as the level of welfare increases, the population growth, the rate of growth decreases. And this will probably lead to leveling of population growth, which is something which, if we don't reach there, we are going to be in really deep trouble. So I think energy is definitely required.
Right. In our movement, with Cheminade and Larouche, we think that humans should behave and evolve just as the universe itself by increasing higher forms of energy densities. The energy transition that we want is not to go back in history, but to go forward by having higher forms of energy and to exit the old forms of energy production, such as wood, coal, oil, and gas, and other lower intensity forms of energy. Now we're still very far away from having fusion power, so we think that the transition through third and fourth generation nuclear reactors, be it the fast breeders or be it the molten salt reactors, will be absolutely very important.
Yes. Definitely, absolutely. The nuclear energy is the most compact form of energy we know now. 1 kilogram of uranium or thorium completely burnt is equivalent to 1,000 tons of coal. 1,000 tons, 1 kilogram. And this kilogram, if processed, will produce only 30 grams of nuclear waste. So definitely we have to go to this very compact form of energy, which is very powerful and very capable of providing the energy that we need for the future.
In the colloquium where we met in Paris a couple of weeks ago, there was the Italian Nobel Prize physics winner Carlo Rubbia, and he said that to go to the fourth generation of nuclear energy, we needed two new revolutions. The first revolution would be to shift from the current cycle in nuclear energy, which is using uranium, natural uranium, and then ends up producing energy, radiation, and basically plutonium, to go away from that and to go to the thorium, uranium cycle, and that this would be the first revolution to do. The second challenge, he said, would be to use nuclear fuels not any longer as a solid fuel, but use the fuels in a liquid form, because this has some kind of advantages.
Yes. I totally agree with Carlo Rubbia. In the first place, thorium is definitely an advantage, and it has a very important advantage, which is the non-production of long-lived actinides. First, so there is less nuclear waste. And the second is the non-production of plutonium, which is a problem from the proliferation of nuclear weapons. So these two minor items are good for thorium. The other one...
How much thorium there is in the world?
Oh, lots and lots. There is plenty in Venezuela. There is a whole large deposit that makes Venezuela the fourth or fifth in the world from the point of view of resources, world resources. But right now it is kept on the side. There is a lot of thorium everywhere, in many places. The other point, which is going to a molten salt technology, instead of using solid fuel, to use a liquid fuel. This is a major revolution, and it is really something which has to be taken into account. It is very difficult because for a long time, even nuclear physicists studying power, nuclear power, are ignorant of this fact. This is one of the main problems. But this is a revolution that has to be done if we want to go to the better form of nuclear energy than the one we have right now.
What is striking is that some countries which have already nuclear power, they are not interested in developing the new forms, but that countries which are relatively new in this domain, like China, or maybe Venezuela also, they could like jump from the second to the fourth generation without going through. I saw that China is investing right now something like $350 million to hire up to 500 scientists, and in the coming years, maybe in the next 10 years or so. In France, we only have 6 experts, which have no budget. They only have computers. They do a very good job, but and you told me that also in Japan that there is a very interesting team working on the mini Fuji.
Yes. Actually,
can you explain?
Recently, December of last year, Kazuo Furukawa died, and he and a lot of other Japanese people have been developing the idea of the Fuji type reactor. This is a molten salt reactor which is modeled on an American reactor that worked at, operated at Oak Ridge National Laboratory for 4 years, and it was very successful. And they have, among them, produced plants. They have not actually built any, but there is a series with the mini Fuji first, which is a 10 megawatt reactor. Then there will be the Fuji, which can burn either uranium-233, uranium-235, or plutonium-239, so that it can burn plutonium that is now being taken out of nuclear weapons. And this series of reactors would be burning the waste, all the fuel in the waste that we have now. And in about 30 or 35 years, then a new kind of reactor, the so-called accelerator molten salt breeder, would start producing the fuel for these reactors. It is a whole plan which was put forth by the collaborators of Furukawa and a lot of scientists in Japan.
So Japan and China are really taking this very serious, as a serious perspective for the future.
Yes, well, I think China is taking the lead, because in Japan it's the same problem as here in France, or even in several other nuclear countries. It is that they are set on the technology that they have, and they don't want to try something new. You know.
You also have a project to build a small thorium reactor or research experience in your own country, in Venezuela, to train a new generation or the first generation of scientists.
Yes, it is a very modest project, but very forward-looking. We want to use the facilities that we had before in the form of an irradiator and turn it into a prototype model of a molten salt reactor, but it will not use molten salts. It will use fuel which is at room temperature, either aqueous or some other form of ionic liquids, and it will have zero power, very low reactivity, but it will have all the characteristics of a liquid fuel reactor. And this facility will be used mainly for research, to train people, to train a whole generation of new scientists in this technology, and also to try out all the modeling that is done by computers and one has to make sure that they work. So it will be a facility, we hope, that will be financed by the oil industry and by collaboration from different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Alton Weinberg, who was the American, one of the directors at one point of Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge, yes.
He once said, the only way to know if a reactor works or not is to build it.
That's right. Yes.
Because then you have to solve the problems in the real world.
Yes.
The other thing is that you also, as a teacher, it would be good that you tell us what could be the most inspiring when you teach nuclear physics. Do you have a special trick or a special strategy to wake up the young generation? Many people, they don't know even if they are for or against nuclear energy because they have even no idea about what they are talking.
Yes.
What's the response you get from your young people in Venezuela?
Well, I think I tend to transmit my passion for science. And my biggest reward is when these students are very successful. This is really, and I've had many examples, really. A student that I take to a conference and gives a talk, and this talk is about their first degree thesis, and they are asked if this is a talk about their PhD thesis. This is really rewarding.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.